Hi, welcome back to a new video, and in this one we're going to be taking a look at Automobalista 2 and the V1.6 update that landed around about a week ago. Now, I've waited a week to put my thoughts about it out, mainly because I wanted to give myself a reasonable amount of time with it. I didn't want to jump the gun. So I'm going to talk today about what my thoughts are. But first of all, let's talk about what we get within version 1.6. Now, as well as 1.6 landing, which has given everybody the main base game updates, we've also seen the IMSA license hit for AMS 2, and that's brought along new content in the form of new tracks and new IMSA regulation cars. So it's added quite a bit of content to it. Not going to be looking specifically at the IMSA content in this game, in this video. That's something that you can take a look at yourself and really decide whether it's for you or not. I will just say I've driven a few of the cars and a few of the tracks, and they are up to the usual standard of AMS2 content, so I consider them to be pretty good myself. I think they've got a good standard of content myself. So what do we get with V1.6 in its base form? Well, we get a new UI for the title, which I actually really like. I think it's nice and clean. It also brings along what are called presets to it, and I'll talk about those in a moment. It's also, in short, also brought some audio improvements. They're not across every vehicle in the game, but they are across some of them, and where they have landed, they are good. They have improved on the audio. I've never personally thought that the audio was that bad in AMS2, but it has improved a number of the cars. It's also brought some significant changes to the physics and the force feedback, and those two go hand in hand. And I want to talk more about that when I actually get into a short race in a little while. But first of all, I want to talk about the presets, because they're perhaps one of the biggest changes that have come in the UI. Now, one of the problems pre 1.6 was there was a massive amount of content within AMS2 even back then, and adding the IMSA stuff on top only made that more so. And one of the challenges was finding combinations that went together, or a logical way of grouping things, was actually really difficult because it just wasn't done. And that's what the presets do. So if I click on the preset button, which is actually currently hidden by me, but it's up in the top right hand corner of the screen, we get a list of series presets, and we can select from a wide range of presets. Now, the one I've got currently selected is the Mini John Cooper Works UK, and if I select that becomes my preset. We can clear it using the button next to it that says clear preset, but you will see that all of the available options, we still don't have Korea open to us, now have John Cooper Works Minis on them. And if I go in to select one of these, only the cars for that particular preset will be shown. We can select the vehicle out of here, and only the tracks that are available for that particular preset will be shown. And one of the things that is going to be coming, it's not there yet, but it is a promise for a future update, is the ability to create our own presets. And for me, this is really, really valuable. I think this is going to be a real nice differentiator for Automobalista 2, and certainly make the way that you approach navigation and finding what you want to do a lot easier. So it's a nice touch. I really appreciate, and I think it is a good step forward. Now, before we move on to talk about the physics and force feedback side of things, I do want to talk about one initial weird problem I had when I first updated to version 1.6. I updated, loaded it up, and the colours on everything just looked absolutely awful, from the UI to the actual races and replays themselves. It was unusable as it was. The interesting thing was screen captures, be they screenshots or videos, looked absolutely fine. So I was pretty sure that it wasn't an issue with my graphics card going mad. I also was pretty sure it wasn't an issue with my TV going mad, because it was fine on every single other title. I eventually narrowed it down to this build of AMS2 really not liking some of the HDR settings in Windows. So I had to go and switch off a few things in HDR in Windows, and bam, that fixed it. So that did throw me for an hour or two, I'm not going to lie. But now let's get into a little bit of a race. Okay, so here we are at Donington Park in my John Cooper Works Mini. I'm starting from the back here, and we'll see how things go. Now, one of the important things that I forgot to mention earlier on that's changed with V1.6 is improvements to the AI. So there have been a lot of AI developments in the title, and these allow you to set aggression, mistakes, and even wet weather pace as well within AMS2. So in my playing around with it, I must confess I have actually found that this has improved the AI to a significant degree. Is it perfect? No, absolutely not. But is it a massive improvement on the old AI from the Madness engine that is effectively what we're working with here? Sorry about that. That was a bit rude of me. Absolutely, yes, it is. So it's a significant improvement on what we had before, and I actually quite like it. Well, that punted me off, didn't it? That was my fault, by the way, not the AI, so I've got quite a bit of ground to make up here. I'm not actually last, though. That makes a bit of a change. So let's try and catch up with the front of the pack here, otherwise this could be very boring, but it will give me an opportunity to talk about non-AI related things. But yeah, overall I'm quite enjoying the changes to the AI in AMS2, and the fact that you've got a good degree of control over them, as I say, I find works well. There's a good range of AI settings in there to allow you to tailor things. I in particular like the offset that you can set for wet weather pace for the AI, because that's often been an issue with Madness Engine games, that the AI is far too effective in the wet. And this at least allows you to offset that to your chosen degree. But let's spend a bit of time talking about the bits that for a lot of people are the main ones, which is the physics and the force feedback. Now, one of the reasons why I wanted to choose the minis for this particular video is not just because they're of a sufficient pace that I can actually talk and drive with them, but because front-wheel drive cars are, if you're going to screw anything up in a game in terms of physics and force feedback, they tend to be the ones that get the least love and represent the lowest bar, shall we say, that doesn't get hit. They're also a drivetrain choice that I've had personally an awful lot of experience of, both on the road and also on track. So what do I think overall of the physics changes? Well, being perfectly honest, I'm actually really impressed with what they've done here and what they've managed to get out of the Madness engine. These changes are noticeable. They are wide-reaching. Every car type I've tried so far, and keep in mind I have not tried every car, let alone every car combo with track in the title, a long way from that since 1.6 came out. But what I have tried I've been really impressed with. One of the things that's communicated really well, and I don't for a second believe it is a canned effect through the force feedback, but rather coming directly from the physics, is oversteer is communicated, in my view, really, really well. Particularly, I was impressed with it when I was driving the Formula Trainer, as they call it in AMS 2. It was called Formula Junior in the Project Cars series, and is known to most people as Formula Ford. These cars I've driven a few times in reality, and one of the interesting things about them is they're actually incredibly easy to drive, or rather I found them incredibly easy to drive at around about 85% of pace. And it's extracting that last 15% from them that was the tricky bit. And on the limit, they're really, really slippy because you're working almost entirely on mechanical grip. And as you're working almost entirely on mechanical grip with them, when they go, they've got, you know, a very central point of rotation. As they go, they really do go quickly on you, and that's communicated incredibly well with the as I say, the Formula Student, or whatever they're called in this, and I really liked it. But overall, I get a lot of feel from the tyres through the force feedback. I get a feeling that the force feedback is telling me what the physics engine is doing, and it's telegraphing it to me well. I'm getting a lot of feeling out of body roll and things like that, and the way the physics now reacts with things like wet surfaces, putting a wheel on the grass under power, or when the car's already yawing, has a big impact on it. And for me, I am changing gear at all the wrong times here. For me, it works really well. I am enjoying it massively. And as I say, it follows through. One of the other things I found in the physics engine as well is the transition from cold tyres to warm tyres is a lot better now than it ever was on the Project Cars series. At times, Project Cars could leave you on cold tyres for a hell of a long time. It really did seem to take an absolute age to get heat into the tyres in any meaningful way, and it's now, and that was particularly true in the wet. Now it feels a lot more natural, the progression from a cold tyre to a warm tyre, particularly, as I say, when you're looking at wet weather and how you deal with the weather itself. So that's a positive change, but overall there's, for me, a hell of a lot to like about this, and it has, I think it will convert even a good number of the naysayers. There's a lot of people out there who really do have issues, and I'm not saying they're wrong, in the past with the Madness engine and some of its weaknesses. Let's be honest, there is not a perfect physics model out there at all, but I actually think a lot of these changes, if people give it a go, will appeal to an awful lot of folk out there. I think it's extremely good. It does what a car should do at the times a car should do it, and it does it in an extremely convincing manner. Ooh, I was lucky then. I genuinely thought I'd overcooked that. But hopefully one of the things, and I just want to mention it, that you will probably have noticed about the AI. Now, don't get me wrong, the AI isn't perfect. Again, it's an area that you're not going to get perfect. But one of the things I think it's fairly safe to say is, as long as I am being fairly clean in how I approach it, the AI does a respectful job with me. Now, you can make arguments about the relative pace of the AI, and have I got that set right. But as you can see, he challenged me there, and he challenged me right. I've probably got the AI settings a bit low here, but I am going to be honest, I dialed it down for the simple reason that I knew I was going to be starting from the back and chatting to you as I went along. But look, he covered his line there. Now, did he cut in front of me? Well, I hadn't changed up, so if he did, fair play to him or her. Or it, as it's an AI, and I'm missing gear shifts, or I'm late on gear shifts repeatedly here. Now, from trying this combo out, one of the things I really like is that series of corners, which I can't for the life of me remember what they're called at Donington Park, that I've just been through. It's always been a bit of a threading the needle challenge, that, because if you get it right, you can carry a huge amount of speed through there. But if you get it wrong, and because the car's unbalanced pretty much the entire time through there, if you pop a wheel on the grass as you're doing it, you will lose the car. Almost always it will cause the rear end to step out because of the yaw that you've got on the car at pretty much any point there. And you can see that if you watch touring cars going around there, or pretty much any of the touring car support series around there. It's a great test of your accuracy as a driver, but also, far too late on the brakes there, but also a good demonstration of whether a sim has got the physics dialed in around that. If you can abuse the grass over there while you've got the car unsettled, there is something very, very wrong. And I don't get that here at all. I've run this combo a few times in preparation for the video, and it feels exactly as it should and how I expect it to feel. So yeah, this is the section we're talking about coming out here. So as you can see, as we come around here, getting that right like that, whoa, actually I was quite impressed by even myself there. Getting that right is really tricky. Get it right and you feel absolutely brilliant. Change down there, now I feel like an idiot. Get it wrong and you're sideways. So it's a really good, in my view, recreation of what should be happening. I also really like the way that the physics interact with the curbs now. There's a lot more variation as to what's going on with the curbs. If you've got a low curb that you can use and abuse, you can do just that. You can use and abuse it. And you should. So that, in all honesty, is actually most of the curbs at Donington. But if you get to other places, and I found this massively when trying a GT3 car at the Nordschleifer, if you try attacking curbs that are quite hefty, and you really shouldn't be attacking them, it unsettles the car massively. It really does. Doesn't necessarily mean you lose it, but it unsettles it enough that it is going to affect how you have to recover, and it will impact on your progress. So it will punish you for doing it. And again, it does so in a manner that feels right as far as I'm concerned. So overall, for me, we're starting to see with version 1.6 what I feel is AMS 2 as a finished product in terms of the physics and the force feedback. It behaves nicely. Of course, most people will drive it significantly better than I'm doing here and will get a lot more out of it as a result. But if you've not plumped for it yet, that was very naughty of me there. That was massively over ambitious. If you've not plumped for it yet or given it a go, now I think would be the time to do so. There's been a lot of positive steps over the years in AMS2, but this for me feels like one of the biggest ones in terms of the physics, the force feedback and the AI. So particularly, damn, that was my bad. Yes, I am letting the AI back through there. I'm that well behaved. I got a warning for that. It was very naughty. We got one more lap in this. So yeah, as I was saying, overall, I personally think that this delivers as a simulator the best version of AMS2 yet, and by quite some degree, and to enough of a degree that I think it is an extremely enjoyable and a very accurate simulator. It's not going to be a title that's for everyone, but if you find the car on the track list engaging, it is well worth running. Now, I haven't yet tried VR in version 1.6. I would be surprised if it's bad. Oh, that's my second track limits warning. I would be surprised if it's bad because historically VR has always been a strong point of both the Madness engine and AMS2 in particular. I forced him a bit wide there, but I still gave him enough space, I think. So yeah, for me, it's a title that runs well, and I'm aware now that I have been waffling on a long time, but you know, we've nearly finished. So that was not a very good way to finish off, was it? I deserve to lose these places. So hopefully you've seen this as a reasonable example of what we now have within AMS2 and the improvements that we've seen within it. And overall, I think they bring a really solid finish to the title. And what I'm looking forward to now is to be able to see them build on this and put a career mode in place, because I think that's the next step for AMS2, is to actually finally build that career mode up. I'd also love to see it eventually get a release on console, because I think this would be a great release to go on console. I think it'd fit really well there. After all, the Project Cars 2, or rather the Project Cars series 1 and 2, forget about 3 for now, fit really well with consoles, and for a lot of people was one of their first proper sim introductions on console. I know it was for me. And I think AMS2 could do a similar thing on that. It would be interesting to see. So yeah, that's my thoughts on version 1.6 of Automobalista 2. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. And if you have enjoyed this video, please do hit the like button. And if you want to see more content like this, please do subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be notified when new content gets uploaded. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. Take care. Bye.